My name is Dan Kimpel. I'm an author and I'm an educator and a music journalist. I interview songwriters, recording artists, and film composers for a variety of mediums that include books, magazine articles, documentary films, television shows, etc. And I do consulting with record companies and labels and artist managers on media training and media presence. Like every other business, the music business is a business of personal relationships. And so I've written a number of books that talk about that, how to meet people, what to say when you meet them, the way that things really happen in our business, which is a lot of times a lot less glamorous than people think, but no less captivating. Because the way that people perceive us as musical people really kind of dictates the amount of success that we'll have as professionals. Wow, I've done so many interviews and each one is completely different and I love them all. Some of my favorite interviews have been with people whose music has really impacted me growing up. Holland Dozier Holland, who wrote and produced all the great Motown songs, were an amazing interview for me. I went to North Carolina to interview Dr. Maya Angelou, who's an amazing woman of letters with a very strong musical background. She was really interesting. The great Canadian songwriter and poet and singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen was a real high point. But I love everybody and I love everybody's energy. You know, Green Day, Metallica, bands like that have been really interesting. Papa Roach, you know, Jason Mraz, Jackson Browne. Everybody that I get to talk to pretty much has a really interesting energy. And the one similarity of the really big artists that I interview is when I talk to them, everything else kind of disappears. And it's just me and them in that moment. I really spend a lot of time listening to music, the people that I interview, and I want to know their music so well that I could play in their band. So by the time I sit down with them, I'm real confident. And a lot of music people they're very intuitive, so they know what I know. They know what I need. Early on, I probably believed a little bit too much mythology because I'm from a small town in the middle of nowhere. I somehow believed that people who achieved success in the music business had it all together. I thought that just because they could sell millions of records or play to thousands and thousands of fans that their lives were together. And what I realized early on was sometimes people on the higher success levels have much less of a sense of reality than those of us who have to work really hard for a living. And as I began interviewing, I really cut to the chase and I learned that people are people. Everybody's got a lot of similarities, you know, especially those of us that do music. We came up with a certain amount of alienation maybe, a certain amount of struggle, maybe families who didn't quite want us to do what we did, you know. Everybody's got dysfunctional families, everybody's got relationships that have gone sour, and just because somebody sold 1 million records doesn't mean that they're immune from that kind of thing as well. So I always look for the humanity. I have a lot of trust in the way that things have gone to this point. Obviously I have a lot of credits, and so the things that come to me are on a really pretty good level. This year I opened up a new world, which is I'm somebody who gives speeches, who keynotes addresses. I was asked to write speeches for music business luminaries who had to give amazing awards at really high-profile shows. I was asked if I could do that, and of course I said yes. So those are some new things that have entered into my world. I do media training. I work with recording artists now, and that was, again, something that came to me. They said, "You do media training, right?" And of course the answer was yes. So when I talk about my career goals, it's sort of, I have things that I want to do. I want to continue to work on a really high level. I want to continue to interview the artists who are making an impact on our culture. I want to have the opportunity to be one-on-one in a room with that kind of energy, but I also want to be open to what the universe suggests for me. I want to be open to what my media contacts think they can see me doing. And I want to walk into every situation and make them look good, make me look good, and above all, make that music look good. I've been in the industry a long time, so I've obviously seen a lot of things come around, and as an educator, you know, I'm a faculty member at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, so I get to work with a lot of young artists and a lot of upcoming vocalists and a lot of singers. The one thing that I like to emphasize to people coming up is know your roots, know the history of our music, open yourself and expand yourself to what came before you. You know, understand the roots of rhythm, understand how music changed in our country because it moved. Examine why the great singers and the great artists that came up in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and spoke to audiences in that time were so effective. Don't be afraid to move outside of your primary genre. You know, there's a young rock band that comes and talks to me sometimes, and I've got them listening to Broadway music because I want them to expand their melodic range. And what greater place to do it in songs that tell stories. So I think with music people, the ones that I interview who are really successful are those who are very, very open to other styles. And you know, when I meet a young artist and they tell me that they hate a certain form of music, I'll stop them right there and I'll say, you can't put hate in music in a single sentence, because in my experience, music is the most supreme form of love. Always keep that love at the heart of creativity, always keep the audience at the core of your communication, and always be connected to the spirit of why you create in the first place.